Hey, what's up guys? Stephen Cult of Mac here, and in this video I'm going to answer the question I've had the most over the last week. Am I keeping the iPhone 7 and ditching the iPhone SE? Well, let's get started. So, in case you've not followed the story so far, I was using the iPhone 6 Plus for a year and a half until the release of the iPhone SE, which I instantly fell in love with. I did a whole video on it, which I'll make sure to leave a link in the description down below. But basically, I loved the size of the SE after using the giant 6 Plus, being able to reach the top and the bottom of the screen, it has a great camera, and it's speedy enough for everything that I needed. It's also one of my favourite iPhone designs, so I wasn't too bothered about it looking identical to the 5 and 5S. So, as usual, I picked up the iPhone 7 on release day, purely for the purpose of reviewing and then returning it back to Apple once I was done. Before I got my hands on it, I wasn't particularly excited about any of the upgrades. There was nothing there that I thought was essential to myself, or anything that I got overly excited about. But that began to change after using it for a few days. The main reason I switched to the iPhone SE from the 6 Plus was for the size difference. I can fit the SE in my pocket with no problem, I can hold it in one hand and so on. And due to running this channel, I always try and make sure I've got as many Apple devices as possible. So my fiance has always had the iPhone 6 and 6S, so I've had both sizes to create videos with, and whilst I had the SE, I thought the size of the 6S was still a little bit too big. So I've been using the iPhone 7 for almost 2 weeks now, and the size is something that I got used to in the first 2 or 3 days. It's still small enough to do everything I wanted to do with my SE, it fits into my pocket no problem, I can still use it in one hand whilst texting, and still reach the top and bottom of the screen without struggling. If it was any bigger though, I'd still prefer using the SE. But having that bigger iPhone 7 screen means all of the videos that I watch online are bigger and clearer to see. I know it's got that wide colour display now, but if you compare it to something like the iPhone 6S, I can't really see much of a difference there in terms of quality. Comparing it to something like the iPhone SE though, and the screen looks visually sharper with a much higher contrast ratio, and it's also a little bit brighter. So that's definitely another win to the 7. Speaking of watching videos on the iPhone 7, the speakers are massively improved over the 6S and SE. So when I'm watching videos on YouTube, they can go nice and loud when I need it, or when I'm in the shower and playing music, it's finally loud enough for me to hear without using a Bluetooth speaker. It's by no means louder than your standard Bluetooth speaker, but I'm finding myself connecting one a lot less frequently. Obviously, the big divide for everyone at the moment is the removal of the headphone jack. Personally for me, it's not a big deal as I don't use headphones all too often. But when I do, I'll use the Apple EarPods when I'm out and about, as I think they're really comfortable and sound just fine. Or I'll use my Bluetooth Parasix when I'm at home. So there's no loss there thanks to the new Lightning EarPods that are provided. I'd take a bigger battery, waterproofing, and the bigger Taptic engine over a headphone jack any day. I also think from a design standpoint, it looks so much better without that gaping hole at the bottom. One of the other things I love about the iPhone 7 is its camera. Now, both the iPhone SE and 7 have 12 megapixel cameras, but the quality of the low light pictures from the iPhone 7 is a massive step up over the SE. I've taken some example pictures here, and as you can see, the images are a lot sharper and the colours are more accurate. I've also got the optical image stabilisation back from my 6 Plus days, which is essential for when recording videos and helps in low light photography. Also, I'm not an avid selfie taker, but the improved 7 megapixel front-facing camera on the iPhone 7 is a nice improvement. You know, for those rare occasions and FaceTime calls. In terms of speed, there's not much of a difference that I can physically feel with day-to-day use. Of course, the A10 in the iPhone 7 will be faster and more powerful when it comes to benchmark tests. But with everyday use, I don't see much, if any difference at all. Graphic-heavy games definitely play smoother on the iPhone 7, but overall, there's not much of a reason to upgrade from the iPhone SE or 6S in terms of speed. I also love the new Taptic Home button on the 7, which isn't a physical button at all this time around. Instead, the button is completely static and provides taptic feedback to give you the feeling of a button being pressed in. This again is something that people are either loving or hating. Personally, I love it. It only took a few hours to get used to, and it feels a lot quicker and smoother when using it. Also, with the taptic sensor being in there, you get little vibrations for certain tasks that you do, like when deleting emails or sliding up Control Center. It's a really simple feature, but it's one I really like. It just adds another level to the user experience. Battery life of the iPhone 7 compared to the SE is pretty much the same. I can get through a majority of my day and have about 10% left by around 9 PM. I don't play too many games, so it's mainly web browsing, watching videos and playing music. One thing that I've only recently begun planning for with my iPhone is for it to be waterproof. Not to go swimming with it or anything like that, but having a 2-year-old around the house means it's bound to get wet. My daughter managed to completely cover my iPad Pro recently, which came out unscathed luckily, but it's nice to have that peace of mind. I've read a few comments with people saying the iPhone SE was already unofficially waterproof thanks to numerous YouTube videos putting it to the test. But that's not quite true, as I found out recently when testing a waterproof case for the iPhone SE, I forgot to tighten the seal around the headphone jack, which resulted in me replacing it. Finally, there's the storage. I usually only go with 16GB for all of my iPhones, which I've always been okay with as I would back up my images every month or so. But as that was unavailable when I was pre-ordering, I had to go for the 128GB version. Because of that, I found a new sense of relief, not worrying about the storage warning coming up anytime soon, whereas the iPhone SE are only available in 16 and 64GB sizes. So for all of those reasons, I'm going to be keeping the iPhone 7 and selling on my almost new SE. If you're thinking of upgrading from the 6S or the SE, it's not really going to be worth it for most people unless you're desperate for that water resistance, improved speakers and better low light photos. If you've got an iPhone 6 or earlier, upgrading to the 7 would definitely be worth it. Well, there you have it, there's all my reasons for upgrading to the iPhone 7 from the iPhone SE. But let me know in the comments section down below if you've upgraded to the iPhone 7 and what you've switched from. Also, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash that like button, it really does help me out, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss a single video from Cult of Mac. I'll catch you in the next one.